This edition of the Rhythm Report is brought to you by
Israel, a free stater who just moved to New Hampshire from Florida, correct?
Correct.
Well, welcome home.
Thanks.
Well, now you've jumped right into the action as soon as you got here by contacting the Manchester Police Department and raising questions about alleged profiling of free staters. So, Eli, you're saying you had a very long and constructive talk with one of the Manchester Police. Is that correct?
I did. I had a very good conversation with Captain Kenny, and that was after going through the usual filter channels of the sergeant that I met when I first called, and they have you go through a few different people that really don't care, and then eventually they put me through the legal department, and got in touch with a guy named Captain Kenny, Captain James Kenny. Very nice guy. Seemed to be genuinely concerned about what was going on, and he looked into it, called me back several times, which I honestly didn't expect. And you want me to tell you what the ultimate outcome was? Or?
Sure.
Well, he was referred to the scanamerica.us, the website that originally reported the identification of some person of interest being a free stater and possible gang affiliate. A very weird combination of identification terms. And on their own records, he used their own search engines internally in the department, and he could not find any record of such a conversation with the name that was listed. And after I sent him the MP3 file and he looked further into it, it turned out that what they're saying is, and they seem to be genuine and honest in what they're saying, that there was some cross-traffic that they say happened on the one radio channel that was being recepted, and they're saying that this was apparently two different dispatches, two different radio traffic conversations that were going on, and so the name that was originally associated with the possible free stater and gang member is not actually accurate. However, they are acknowledging that there was somebody that they referred to as being a possible free stater and possible gang affiliate. And their explanation for doing this, which I can understand. I worked for the DoD for 9 years, and I can understand people taking precautions and identifying somebody as being something that may mean something to them and on the spot might have relevant meaning, but at the same time they might need to step back and look at where using such terms might go. That kind of thing happens. Well, their explanation was that in their understanding, usually if they identify someone as being a free state member, that most of the time the only thing that means to them is this person might very well be carrying a firearm. Well, that's understandable. I can understand how someone carrying a firearm might be of interest, at the very least, to a police officer who's going to talk to an individual. The problem with this is that they have 10 codes, they have descriptions, they have internal department lingo to define someone who is either known to carry a firearm, who is seen carrying a firearm. They have other descriptive language to simply identify that. So when they use these other general descriptors of someone's affiliation, ethnicity, political affiliation, activist, whatever group, in order to frame that in some other very specific context, which there's another legitimate term to define, that's where we get into profiling, and that's where we might need to encourage the MPD to maybe back up and reanalyze what they're looking at. Now, granted, as we all know, a very loose identification of what it means to be a free stater is similar to when someone asked Ron Paul if he were libertarian, and his response was, "Sure, I love liberty." So for someone to be a member of the Free State Project means for most of us, at least it does for me, that, granted, I didn't go through a vetting process. I never filled out a membership application. I didn't have to qualify or anything else. Simply someone who identifies themselves as being a free stater is no different than someone who identifies themselves as being a Democrat or Republican. And even less so because you actually can register as a Democrat or Republican and also do God knows what. So being a free stater really means nothing other in itself other than you're a person who believes that New Hampshire is a free state and you support a project that might want it to stay free. So going off of that premise, which we all understand the Free State Project is a very loose affiliate, and we also know that underneath it there are also more specifying actions and movements within it. Those who want to legalize marijuana, those that want to eliminate the income tax, those that propose the human right to bear arms and not necessarily the Second Amendment right, which merely supports it. So being merely a free stater, the point being, this is something that we need to work to promote a positive light for the Manchester PD, for the public, for elected officials, to realize that someone who is a free state member, what does that really ultimately mean? Not very much at all. This is someone who merely believes in freedom, and liberty, and anything that they might believe beyond that is open to interpretation.
Well, they believe they're going to move to New Hampshire.
Well, a lot of them, yes. A lot of them, yes. But, you know, I identified myself as a free state supporter before I ever moved to New Hampshire.
Right.
And someone might be, I have heard more often people refer to them as supporters of the Free State Project rather than actually members of the Free State Project, because there is no actual membership.
Well, so what do you think, if anything, Free Staters should do, maybe in connection with this situation right now? Anything?
I think that one of the best things that we could do is we could foster positive relationships with our elected officials and as well as our local police departments. You know, when I called this guy, I granted had to go through a few channels and finally got through to the right department. But if we can do something to positively give a good face to people who identify themselves as being affiliated with the Free State Project, in my own experience, this has been very positive. And this guy seemed like a very genuine, nice guy, Captain James Kinney with the legal department of the Manchester PD. He seemed that he appreciated having a conversation with me. And unfortunately, as we all know, and the MPD is familiar with this on their own ground, that a lot of times it's only the situations that have negative press that come to light. And if we can do something to help these people see that there are very reasonable, rational, intelligent people who may believe one thing or believe another thing, but have a positive light to the movement, that's what we want to do. You know.
Well, Eli, is there anything else you can think of to add that I maybe didn't think to ask you?
I think that our premise of the Free State Project being a loose umbrella affiliation is good. I think that's positive, because there are people in the Free State Project that may support the ideas of freedom and liberty, but what that means in definition might vary drastically to them and myself.
Yeah.
There are people in the Free State Project that very likely are carrying a firearm at all times for very legitimate, positive, safe, public health reasons. And there's also people in the Free State Project that could care less about ever even owning a gun. So to define any type of generalization about someone in the Free State Project, I think is probably not efficient, and that's probably good. So I like the fact that we have a loose umbrella affiliation and definition of the Free State Project. I think we should keep that up. At the same time, it's good that we have more defined definitions of those within the Free State Project who might support specific movements like legalization of marijuana or right to bear arms. At the same time, I think we all have a responsibility, not in a obligate sense, not in someone forcing you to do it, but a responsibility to promote our own identification, to promote our own face, put our own face on what that means. But if you see something that you don't like being affiliated with someone who might be a gang member, I was told that the guy that the Manchester PD was after was a self-proclaimed Free Stater and also happened to be a multiple felon. This was somebody the MPD feared. We need to stop allowing that to be the person who proclaims themselves to be Free Staters. I proclaim myself to be a Free Stater. And for that reason, I'll put the right face on it, a face that reflects who I am. And I encourage you to do the same.
All right. Thanks, Eli, and welcome to New Hampshire.
Glad to be here.
It's my happy duty to report to you that this edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance. You cannot do this at the State House without hitting one of these guys. They're all over the place, fighting for your freedom, but they need your help. Please join them at nhliberty.org. Oh, and make that us. Join us, because I'm a member.